Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a new layout to share for the Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2018 September kits. And today I'm using a cut file, and this is one of the free ones that you can get over on the Hip Kit website. And it's basically just a hexagon background, but I'm going to use it a little bit differently today. I really wanted to incorporate some of the hexagons from the Pink Fresh Studio Indigo Hills 2 collection, and there's a lot of them on that wood veneer sheet. So I'm going to use this mint colored cardstock as my background, and you can find that in the cardstock kit. And I'm just going to smudge down a lot of white gesso here to begin with. I know I want to start my design in a vertical way, going from top to bottom, kind of over on the left hand side, and so that is where I am primarily adding my gesso. I'm scraping it on with a knife, smudging the edges with my fingers, and so now my paper is ready for any type of media that I'm going to add to it. Now here's what I'm doing differently with my cut file. I'm going to use it as a stencil. And so just because you cut it out does not mean you have to use it as is. It makes a great stencil, and this is going to create some really awesome shape and texture to my background here. And I'm using white modeling paste and my palette knife and just scraping it over the shape. And this is going to really create a nice textured bumpy background. And it's kind of hard to see it now because it's white on top of white, but when I go to add the shimmers on top of it here in a few minutes, it's like magic, and you can really just see the hexagons appear out of nowhere. I love that moment when you start to add the color. So everything is dry, and when you touch it, it's nice and bumpy and raised up off the page. And I'm going to use the color kit from this month. We got 3 different shimmers colors. This one here is Spritz Cotton Candy, and look, when you spray it, you can automatically see the hexagons just kind of pop off the page, because the color kind of is gonna run and blend in between all of the hexagons and on top. And I'm gonna add in the yellow color. There is Vibes Mustard Seed. I also just kind of tilt the paper and let it run and drip and let the colors blend together, and add a little bit of spritz of water to kind of thin it out and help it run a little bit better, and then dab some of it up. And so it's just really playing around with the color, and you just want to make sure that you use colors that when they mix together, they're going to make another pretty color. This purple color here we also get in the in the color kit this month. It's another Shimmers paint. It's called Wisteria Lane, and it's a very pretty dusty purple color. This aqua color is one that we got, I think, last month. It's called Well Blew Me Down, and it's a colorings. So some of these have shimmer in them, some of them do not, but I'm just using all of them kind of together. And the good thing about the gesso is if you do put 2 colors together and they run together and they make, you know, a color you don't like, or they kind of make a brown color, you can dab it up and kind of just go over it with a napkin or a paper towel, because the gesso allows all this water to sit on top of it and kind of run and blend together, and it's not just going to soak right through to the background. And so you have time to correct something if you do use colors that you don't like. But I kind of tried to put the aqua and the purple over on different areas where the pink and the yellow weren't, and so they kind of have their own area, yet they do sort of blend together at some parts. But you can kind of see how easy that was to do, and you can see how beautiful those hexagons look once you add the color. I was very happy with how this turned out. I'm also using the Minor 49er from last month. That's another Shimmers. It's an Inklings, and it's a gorgeous gold. So here it's dry. You can see how beautiful and shimmery that is, especially the purple color. So gorgeous. Now I'm going to use a black and white picture here. This is a picture of me and my daughter in the pool. You know, I love me some selfies with my kids, and so one thing I did notice was that I wanted to pull in some of the mint color that I have on the background, and there's also some mint color in those Pink Fresh Studio embellishments. And so I pulled out the Cracked Pistachio Distress Oxide, and we got that several months ago, and I just smushed it down into some plastic, added some water, and just kind of adding that color in a couple of spots to pull that in, so when I add embellishments, that color is tied to the background as well. Excuse me. So I'm using my brush, I'm using my finger, and just kind of smudging it around. And I tried to add it in a couple spots to where it wouldn't really blend in with the purple and create a muddy color. So I'm going to add some tissue paper behind my photo. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's a very subtle border kind of separation between the photo and the background, and it's kind of like vellum. And then I pulled a couple of the Project Life cards that I'm going to use as layers behind the photo. Some aqua, some purple, and I'm going to situate my photo over kind of toward the bottom left area. Since my daughter is looking toward the right, it's going to look like she's looking across the page. I haven't used my little stapler in a while, so I wanted to make sure everything is attached together and then go from there. Now I play around with some embellishments, some die cuts. I definitely wanted to incorporate these wood veneer stickers, and they are in the deep purple color, the mint color, and the coral color. And so I tried to play around with those for a little bit to decide where to put those, and I wound up layering them underneath and around the photo. And they also come in a darker blue and a lighter sky blue color, but I did not use those because those colors are not in my background. So I play around with those for a little while and decide where I eventually want to put those. And this is kind of how it's going to go. I tried to kind of do tone on tone and do the purple on the purple side, the mint on the mint, and the coral on the pinkish coralish color. And then I added some adhesive foam behind my photo because I'm going to raise it up a little bit since some of it's going to overlap those wood veneer pieces anyway. And I really like how that looks. I think that background is so pretty. I love how it turned out. I really encourage you guys to try that. If you don't have any stencils, but you do have a die cutting machine, try and cut some out that are meant for backgrounds and use them as a stencil, because even though I scraped the paste over that cardstock, it did not fall apart. I can reuse it again, or I can cut it up and use it as something else on my layout, or I can use it as a background. So it really, it held up pretty well. I'm adding some thread in there. I've got the 3 colors that match everything that I've got going on here. I've got the mint, the purple, some coral, even a little bit of yellow that I'm going to add. My first thought was to keep everything kind of tone on tone, but then I thought I really like that yellow pop up at the top of the mixed media portion, and so I wanted to incorporate more yellow pops here and there. So I added a little bit of yellow thread down underneath the photo there. And so some of the colors are going to wind up being spread out here and there all over the page, and some things are going to be tone on tone. And there's just so many things in the kits. It is, even though this is, I think, my 4th layout using these kits, I still have so many pieces, and it's still hard to pick and choose what to use. So I'm playing around with some more of the phrase die cuts and some of the stickers, and I'm not sure what I'm going to put where, so I just kind of get some ideas. And then I took a break. This is the next day, and I decided to do a little bit more of the mixed media and the hexagons and things over here in a little cluster on the right side. So I'm basically going to just do the same thing that I did over on the left. Smudge down some gesso and then come back with the modeling paste and the stencil and create a little bit of an echo of what I've already done. Same thing, you've already seen me do this, but I didn't want to not put this in the layout because it is part of the process. And this is how my brain works. When I did the whole left side in one sitting, and then it got late and I had to stop. And so the next day I decided to, I looked at it and I thought, what should I do next? And then that idea came to me, and I thought I should do a little portion of that over on the right. And so sometimes it's a good thing to take a break, especially if you get to a point where you're not sure what you want to do next or what you want to use. I take a break. And this actually, on the time that I put the paste and the gesso down, that was the only thing I did on this layout on day number 2. And then this right here is day number 3. So it takes me sometimes 3 to 4 days to finish a layout. And I do scrap in spurts. You know, I really can say that. I never have finished a layout in one sitting. I don't know. My brain doesn't work that way. It takes me time to sort through things and figure out what I want to put where. And if I'm not sure, I'm not just going to stick it down. You know, I need to take a break. And I know that's OCD and it's just a scrapbook page, but you know, if I don't love it and I'm not sure, then I'm going to take a break and come back in a few hours or the next day and see if it's something that, you know, did I change my mind? Do I see something now that I didn't see before? So yeah, and I'm glad that I decided to do this because I love how that looks. So yeah, this is day number 3 still. I'm going to finish it on day number 3. And I'm going to use the remaining chipboard hexagons that I have over on, not chipboard, I'm sorry, wood veneer. And I decided that I did want to add a couple of leaf sprigs, and so I fussy cut out several of those from one of the Indigo Hills Pink Fresh Studio papers. And they're just going to kind of stick out from things and just look pretty. I love how sprigs of leaves and flowers look kind of peeking out from behind things. And so I'm just going to work on building a little cluster over here on the right. And I'm going to use that giant, well, it's not giant, but it's pretty big, floral cluster. And I'm going to wind up cutting off part of it because I'm going to run it off the page. That's some purple thread that I added underneath there to match. And I almost, you know, I had not planned on using anything floral on this layout, but there are just so many pretty floral things and leafy things in the kits that it's kind of hard not to, you know. Here's where I'm just going through the sticker sheets and kind of seeing what matches where and what looks good where. I do add that little "You Are Amazing" mint circle sticker, and it winds up being the only circle element I add to the page. And usually I try to use things in odd numbers. You know, if I use one circle, I'll try to use 2 more somewhere else so you have that visual triangle. But you know, and I almost didn't use it because I thought, well, the main shape on this layout is hexagons. Why do I want to go and add a circle? But then I thought, you know, I like the way it looks there. Who cares what the rules are? So I'm going to use that one circle right above that floral cluster because it matches. I like the way it looks, and that's that. Who cares? Sometimes you just break the rules. There really aren't rules, but you know what I mean? You do something that you always do, and then you don't do it, and you're like, ooh, I'm breaking my rules. This is bad. And guess what? Here I am adding another shape. I'm going to use triangles also. Those are from the Pink Fresh Studio sticker sheet. I'm going to make a banner out of those little triangles. So here we go. We got hexagons, we got circles, now we got triangles, and it's all good. I am going to add, my title is going to be very simple, Beautiful Moment. And here I am just making my little banner. I pulled some cord from my stash and I'm going to glue down these little triangles and basically make a little banner. And I'm going to try to figure out where I want to put it. Because when I saw those on the sticker sheet, I thought those would be so cute for a little triangle banner. And I thought since I have all this stuff on the left and the little cluster on the right, it's just the perfect amount of space to add a little banner there. So that's where that's going to go. And I'm going to add in some adhesive foam to give it some dimension. Now my title, the word beautiful, comes from the Vicky Bouton black thicker sticker sheet. And then I used the Pink Fresh Studio little puffy alphas in mint. So that's tone on tone. Just Beautiful Moment. That's my title. And I'm cool with it because it was a beautiful moment. Last thing I'm going to do is add some black splatters, and I think I'm almost empty here. I couldn't get it to come out, but I finally do. And off camera, I did add my journaling down at the bottom, but that's the final layout. I really love how this turned out. It was fun to make, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you're inspired by something on this layout, and I hope you give it a try. Definitely try making your own stencil because I find that so much fun, something different to do, and you're going to get a very unique background, and it makes it really easy to add all the shimmers on there because the color just runs and blends on its own. You don't have to use a brush, you don't have to use plastic packaging, you just spray it and let it go. And anyway, I hope you're enjoying all the close-ups here. I took a bazillion of them. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the kits or the techniques or anything at all, and I'll be more than happy to answer you guys. I want to thank you so much for watching and subscribing and commenting, and I'll see you in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful week.